It's time for a quick doodle. And in today's Doodle Club, we are going to do fish using watercolour paints. It's something that I've done with my classes of children for quite a long time, and it always goes down really well. And I thought I would share it with you. Welcome, welcome if you are new, welcome back if you've been with me for ages. My name is Cate Field. I'm an artist, teacher and speaker, passionate about helping people get out of a rut and do some art. It might be that you've been doing art for years and years and years, and it might be that you used to love doing it and you kind of forgot, and now you're coming back, and that is just wonderful. So you're not going to need very much, just some decent quality paper, but you could use wallpaper as well, bit of watercolour paint, pencil, that kind of thing. Let's go. Oh, this one is going to be fun. Right, you're going to need a pencil, Fineliner pen, some soft brushes, some watercolour paints. I'm using my Kuratake Japanese pans, which I absolutely love, but you can use whatever you like. And we're just going to need a pot of water. Simple. Right, we are going to start very quickly and very loosely. I did this with some of my little ones a few months ago actually, and it was great fun. You can start off, you're just going to put in some waves, and the waves are going to go over the top of each other, backwards and forwards, like this. Very simple. So you end up with those lines there. I hope you can see those. And I'm going to use my water. There we go. And I'm just going to put some water into some of these spaces, just to make the paper a little bit wet. And then I'm just going to put in some colour. Sort of various shades of blue, really, like this. The nice thing about this this palette is you get these really gorgeous shades, especially the kind of the opaque ones that are quite unusual. Very nice. I've put a link to all the materials that I use if you're interested. Just put it, I'm just keeping this very, very loose. This is a really good exercise if you're new to watercolour and you just want to kind of give it a go. You need to use paper that is has some weight to it. This is 300 grams. I'm using it in my sketchbook. Let's just put in another bit here. So you can say I'm just sort of mixing up the colours, but all in different shades of blue for this bit. Like that. And now I'm just going to go in and clean my brush, and I'm going to go in with a bit of yellow. Like this. And maybe a little touch of red in there as well, just sort of orange, bit of orangey colour. But you can use whatever colours you want. You see it's quite messy, the colours are going to bleed into each other. That works, it works well. Like that. And what we're doing is we're creating like an underwater scene, aren't we? Okay, now I'm going to leave that to dry, and it will take a little while because it is quite wet. A little bit of orange in that one as well, I think. You can always add a little bit more when it's dry, although the colours won't be fixed. It's not like working with acrylics. So I'm just going to leave that kind of like little watery fantasy, leave it to dry, and we're just going to do something else while we're waiting for that to dry. So while I'm leaving that one to dry, I've got these two postcard watercolour plates. Oh, I've got 3 there. Oh, I might do 3. Let's do 3. We're going to do these all in one go. Okay, I really hope you're well. Let's just do that. I'm going to go in with the blue as well, and what I'm going to do is we're going to go over all 3. Let's just sort of move those in together a little bit. I'm absolutely loving reading your comments from my previous tutorials where people were telling me all about the weather. It's brilliant. It's so lovely, and I love it when you're telling me how you're getting on with things and you're trying out new things. It's just wonderful. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group yet and you think that might be something that you would like, then please do, because it is a lovely space. You can see I'm just putting in these sort of waves in the various blue colours very, very loosely. I'm doing all 3 at the same time. It's just going to create a background that we're going to work on. There we go. There we are. And if you're interested in this sort of stuff, you might like to join my membership. And the link is in the description. I do sort of specific tutorials for my members in Open Studio. You will have access to the creative artist boot camp that I did a couple of years ago when I first started it in real life, a real life boot camp, and I've made it into a course. And if you join my YouTube membership, you get it for free. So that might be something you might like to take a look at. So you can see it's just all very, very loose and very wet. Those of you who are really experienced at watercolours, you might want to start using other things, you know, like bubble wrap and salt and stuff like that to create different surfaces. But for this one, we're keeping it just with the watercolour and the water, just the paint and the water. So I've done those. This is why you have to use fairly thick paper. You could use wallpaper lining paper. Works brilliantly. When I'm working in the classes, in classrooms, and when I worked in sort of inner city schools where we had no money, we would often use wallpaper. It worked really well. It's good because the paper will buckle. Right, I'm going to leave those ones to dry. So this is all lovely and dry, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at some of these shapes and think about which ones might look a little bit like fish. And this is where I love it. It's just such good fun. I'm still using my watercolours, and I'm just kind of thinking about these sorts of shapes. Like that little one is definitely a fish, and I'm thinking this one over here is as well. Now I'm putting in some sort of more intense colours like this, and if you're careful, it can work really well. But equally, you could go over the top of this with felt tip pens or with acrylic pens. Yeah, all of that would work. That would work well. But I'm just going to stick with using my watercolour like this, sort of putting in some of the block shapes. And what we're going to do is put some decorations on each one, because that would be fun. It would just be, oh, I love it. It's great fun. Let's let the colours bleed a little bit, because that can look good as well. Look at that. So that's quite a big fish there, I think. Wash my brush. I'm going to leave that area to dry because I want to do a little fish here. But I think I might do something over here. Let's have this one as another little blue fish. You can just sort of break up the colours. You use them as thick as you want. So popping that one in there. And when I'm doing this with the little ones, I get them to make up stories. We make up stories about under the sea and fish having adventures and things like that. And I know that there's quite a few of you who do arts and crafts with your children or your grandchildren, and this would be a lovely one. There we go. And all part of building up creativity and just enjoying it. Just really enjoying the colours, enjoying the process. Now I'm doing this in my sketchbook, but you know, it might be something that I develop into a painting. Okay, so this is going to be a little stripy one, this little fish here. Just going to move that around. I'm going to do this one here. Let's play with this colour a little bit. It's kind of a darker blue. Like this. So we start to put in the details with the Fineliner pen once it's completely dry. And again, it's something that it's good to just sort of play with. Let's just do that one up there. There we go. Put that one in there. So let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're going to do. Let those colours bleed in a little bit. If you don't want them to bleed, then just leave it to dry and then be very careful on your edges. But I quite like it when it bleeds out like that. I think that can look really good. I'm just going to do a few more these spaces, but you can get the idea. I will play around with this for a little bit longer, just enjoying the process really. Let's just make that one yellow. There we go. And I will show you how this one ends up at the end. I've come back to these three little ones. Now the lovely thing about the Kuratake paints is that they do metallics, and it's very subtle, so it's much more subtle than like a metallic acrylic, and it works like watercolours. So I'm just going to put a bit in there. It's very, very subtle, and so it's going to be quite difficult for you to see, but I'm hoping you can see some of the shimmer. And I'm just going to put some lines of silver across the page. Now you could also use a pen, a silver pen, and I might use a bit of silver pen when I finish off these ones. But I just wanted to put that little bit of shimmer in. I know you're getting a bit of light reflection here as well, which is not good. But that's, again, these are sort of a bit more subtle. As the page is dried, it's flattened out again. And then what I'm going to do is, again, sort of put in some waves. Just have some fun with this. Just sort of seeing what happens, just enjoying the process. Because that's the whole point of a doodle, isn't it? Is that you're just having fun and playing. So I'm just doing all these three at once. And then what I'm going to do is similar to the thing that I did in the previous one. So I'm just going to identify some shapes. Like this. This one's a good one. And I'm just going to turn them into fish. Like that. And I think we'll have this one here as well. With a long tail. And you can put some more details in if you want to. You could leave it quite abstract. It's your doodle. It's quite fun, that one. Let's look at this one. I've done these sort of things with cards for friends who love the seaside, or that kind of thing, have that nautical feel. I'm just kind of putting in these fish, sort of quite vague fish shapes, and then when we get to the end, you'll see how it all kind of fits together. And if you think, no, actually I need another bit somewhere, then you just put it in. that's the whole point. Let me just move that one. I'm just going to move this one over here, actually, just so it's easier for me to work on. Still sticking with the same colours. I'm thinking that this one could be a good fish here. So those sort of tropical fish that have those lovely tails. I'm sure that there are people out there who know what they're called. I'm afraid I don't. So if you know what those sort of fish are called with these lovely tails, then let me know. Pop it in the comments. So you see, I'm just kind of playing with this idea of a kind of a nautical theme, and just seeing how the water floats about, how the paint moves, and how we can create these lovely gentle images. Add a tiny bit more silver into space. And then I'm going to leave those to dry. Just do one more, I think. That's the thing when we start to play. Think, oh, when shall I stop? Oh. and I will come back to those in a moment. So here we are, it's all dry, and what we're going to do now is to turn these into our little fish with the Fineliner pen. I'm just going to go over some of these shapes. And just have some fun with these. We'll have these two touching each other. This is very sweet. Just a little tail there. And then we can have our little patterns on the fish like this. And then this one here, I'm going to turn this one. Let's go this way. The tail there. Put a little fin there, I think. That one's fun. Let's just move down. Oh, this one here. Let's have a little one here. Like that one. And you can do these however you want, whatever you think is going to be fun. Let's have a big one up here. And then another little one down here. So just play with this. You can put different patterns on each fish. And just really enjoy the whole thing. Let's actually have another fish up here, peeking around. So they're all swimming together. And what I'm going to do is just to work through all of them. Like I'm liking this one down here, this little blue one. Like this. And you just have a lot of fun making your fish. I'm sure you're going to come up with lots and lots of ideas. Let me know what you think and what you're doing. There we go. I'll do a couple more and I'll show you what that looks like at the end. And let's go back to these ones. I think we can just do something similar. Just using my Fineliner pen. Just sort of playing with the outline of the shape. This one looks a bit like a bird, actually. I just really enjoy doing a little bit of illustration, just playing with some of the shapes, seeing seeing what happens. Let's move to this one. I'm sure you've got lots of ideas what you could do. And I'll do another one on this one, and then I'll show you all of them at the end. So I'm just going to finish off with a little bit of silver and gold, little dots, using just sort of an acrylic pen or a glitter pen. It's always fun to add these little bits in, I think. Just little subtle touches. I might do a little bit more of that. Actually, I've just had an idea. Might be quite fun. And that's to just put in a few little lines of green, of lime green, just sort of popping those in there like that. So there we are, our three little blue ones, and then the colour ones as well. So I really hope you enjoyed that tutorial and that you've got some ideas of other doodles that you could do using a similar technique. I hope you've enjoyed using the colours and just playing. We all need to play, don't we? And if you'd like to do some more, you could look at this one or this one, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.